On this show with Matt Shoup. And Matt Shoup's coming from he's going to tell us a little bit more about himself, but he's coming from the USA, good old USO of A. And Matt came from getting sacked from his corporate job with $100 in his pocket. And in less than 5 years, turned that into a multi-million-dollar business. We're talking to Matt here because we want to get into this and say, okay, what happened? How do we turn adversity into success? And many, many things we're going to discuss. So stay tuned. Hey, Matt, welcome to the Business and Wealth Show, buddy.
Mac, thanks for having me.
You're most welcome. You're most welcome. Hey, tell us a little bit about, I just gave a hint, but what happened? How did your entrepreneurial journey really start? I know you would tell us a story. What happened and how did you turn that around?
Gosh, so I love sharing my story. I love hearing other people's stories, and story is so important because everybody has their own and it's unique. And our stories are coming together with stories of your listeners and viewers. So I have two stories. I have the business origin story from when I was thrown out of the bank and I was 20 years old, but there was a pre-story to that story. And now I'm kind of embarrassed a little bit that when we were doing our pre-call housekeeping, right, that I forgot to mention is, so I got bullied a lot growing up. And one of the biggest things, I was called Shoopy Poopy because my last name is actually, and I didn't tell you this, it's Shoup, but everybody says Shoop. So they sung the old Salt and Pepper song, the Shoop, Shoop, Badoop. So that was actually, it's funny because that was part of some of the bullying and the teasing that I had growing up. But business for me at a young age. So I grew up in New Jersey. I lived there till I was 10. And I was an easy target for bullies for multiple reasons. I was small in stature, zero confidence. I was very creative. I did things differently and people didn't see that. So I was labeled a troublemaker. And I said, well, that's the label. I'll take it and I'm going to double down on it. And I caused trouble. So I was brilliant, got in trouble. And all the kids I ran around with, not all of them, but the majority of them are either dead, in prison, or disappeared. So on paper, I should be there with them. But what happened is I'm growing up, I'm this scared little kid. I don't have certainty, confidence. I don't know my value. At 10 years old, asked my parents for a boom box, $200 to buy those big CD player, right? You remember the big,
I know it.
big things back in the 90s. And they said, hey, you got to figure out a way to make your own money. You get $4 a week to cut our grass, and we're not going to give you $200. So I took their lawnmower and knocked on doors in my neighborhood.
Smart.
And not only did I make 200, I made 2,000. Yeah. And the lesson in that story for listeners and viewers, there's the business story. That was my start to business, but business and money and setting goals and accomplishing them, that was the first time I was in an environment and I created it where I had confidence, certainty, love. I found and saw my value and I was having fun. So that rooted a lot in me. Like on paper, great, it's a business origin story. That came into play when I got sacked from the bank. But it was also part of my foundation and my upbringing growing in, from a scared boy to learning just how to become a man. And I think those two things can't be separated in business. Your life story and your business story can't be separated. And that's why I share both. So yeah, that 2000 turned into shoveling snow, peddling candy out of my middle school locker. I was suspended for that technically on paper. So nobody encouraged my entrepreneurial spirit, but that was my thing. So that's what I leaned into. And then I worked a couple hourly jobs in middle school, high school. I always went up to the top leadership positions. And then I ended up at Colorado State University in 2000. So 99, 2003, I got recruited by a college painting company. And they started to show me the ropes of the painting business back in college.
Oh, wow. So what I'm getting is, at an early age, you have this entrepreneurial burning desire because you want to buy something. You want to own stuff. You want your boombox, right? $200, haven't got the money, find a way. And then at some point you went, instead of taking that entrepreneurial thing you had and going into business, you went into corporate, right? There must have been some desire as you're working in that company thinking, why am I here? Why am I? Because every entrepreneur I speak to who started as young as you did, realized at some point they can't work for anybody. Tell us the story about that
So I was told to sit down and shut up a lot because I was up running around and talking. And, I knew I couldn't work for anybody. So I went, 10 years old into middle school. I had these little side hustles, little businesses. And then I just went hourly employee. I worked at restaurants. I worked at a Chinese restaurant as a busboy. I ran a Subway sandwich store, again, all the way up to the top. Like those people
Okay.
could leave me there and I could run the store.
Nice.
And then I worked at a shoe store. And honestly, Mac, I was just concerned at that age, even going into college, is how do I get the grade to get the degree? And how do
Mm.
I get in and out of school as fast as possible? Because I was still getting bullied. Like I still didn't fit in. So I go make money. And I don't care how we do it. So Subway sandwich shop was more profitable to me and for me than shoveling snow based on that. So that was kind of my desire. But yeah, I definitely found that you've got to let me into a space and let me lead the ship, because I definitely had that leadership. And then college painters, they came and recruited me and they taught me how to run a business, run a residential house painting company with their money, my time. And I made a bunch of money learning the business. But then when I left college, I said, painting's not sexy. I made 6 figures in 4 years while I was 18 to 22 years old, spent 3 times what I made. But I did the corporate thing, Max. So I did the suit and tie,
Oh,
the
yeah.
banker thing. And I ended up there because it was the mortgage business and it looked sexy. It looked like a lot of money. And I was very driven by money, but I hated it. Right. It was the money chase, the money grab for me, young, arrogant kid trying to prove himself. But I'm in this environment that I knew I wasn't going to be a part of. And I was plotting my escape before they opened the door for me and threw me out.
Yeah, okay, so you were plotting your escape before you were pushed anyway. So
Yeah.
when you were pushed out, you had something lined up by all accounts, by my imagination.
What happened there is graduated college 03. So I spent a semester in Spain. I fell in love with Spain.
Oh
I
wow.
was gonna go back to Spain, but then I met my my now wife, college sweetheart, right after that. So graduate, we're about to get married, and I'm doing the banking thing. And in pre-marriage counseling, we talked with the pastor. We said, yeah, we're gonna have a business one day. But when I'm hating life at the bank, I knew how to do painting.
Mm.
And I told the painters, hey, I'm not coming back to this, the guys I worked with, and I just hated the bank. So my plan literally goes like this. Tuesday morning, bank president comes in, calls me into his office. It's a new guy, never met him before. He's in the big banker's desk. He calls me, and I'm a young kid. He goes, Matt, put all your stuff in a box. He said another word that started with S. He said, put all your stuff in a box. You're fired. Get out.
Wow.
And he didn't even shake my hand. He didn't say hi. He didn't want to meet me. It was very,
Cold.
just very inhumane. We'll call him Chad. So Chad, he didn't say, hey, I'm Chad. Nice to meet you. Where are you going to go? What are your goals? Get all your stuff, put it in a box, get out. That was number one. Number two, and this is what rubbed me, and this is actually what drove me for a number of years. He said, maybe you should go do that painting thing. Like,
Oh
like you
wow.
dirty little painter, right? So it was the classic arrogant corporate, I'm better than you. I'm scrubbing and cleaning my P&L. I don't care about you, your life, your family, your story. Get out. And then, but you don't say that to me. Like, remember where I'm from New Jersey. You're like,
Oh, okay.
they'll never
That's
take the
full of
New
hard
Jersey out of me.
knocks.
So I said, okay. So I gave him the 2-finger salute
Oh dear.
and I got all my stuff, put it in a box, gave him some more choice words. I was pretty angry
Mm.
in general, and especially at that moment. And I walked out of the bank and I'm standing there, Mac, in the parking lot, just looking up at the sky. It's a beautiful day. And I'm a man, right? So as a male, I need to have the answer. We have to have the solution to everything. I go, I've got to come home. I need to have an answer. I needed $2,800 in 28 days to support the family, to not start losing things like the house, the car.
Mm.
So I have a 12-minute drive home. And in that moment, when I step into that parking lot, I made 3 vows. I'm never working for anybody again, because I know I can't anyway. I'm a bad employee. Never going to wear a tie to work. The only time I wear a tie is to the Feria de Sevilla in Spain. I
There
was
you
just
go.
there. And I'm never going to work for a guy like that. I'm never going to be a guy like that. And then I started M&D painting with the last $100 that I could spare, because that's all I could spare was 6 figures in debt. Came home, told my wife. She said, you're home early for lunch. I said, yep, it's a permanent lunch. She goes, oh, well, we had a nice lunch. We had a long lunch. And she said, what are you going to do about it? I said, let's give this painting thing a try, because I know it will make me 2,828 days. And I was only thinking, Mac, I didn't have this grand vision of, on a podcast 20 years later, year to date with tens of millions of dollars. Like, I just needed to eat.
Right.
And just went out and got to work.
Mm. So So what I'm hearing is that you knew this painting thing, you've been in it, you're ready to
Yes.
graft, you're ready to work hard, you got to make the money, you got to feed your family. That's number one. You're not worried, you're not going to work for anybody else. So you have no choice but to make this thing work. So how did you
Yeah.
take it
Yeah.
from just feeding the family to creating lots more than that with all the employees? How did you go about doing that?
So, I mean, it's interesting because some people are more interested in like, what did I do that afternoon? So if you're a listener saying, well, what do I
Go
do?
for it.
I'm in that same situation. So literally my next 48 hours was I took $100. I can't remember if it was cash or not, but I walked out and I said, when I knock on somebody's door, I need a business card. I went to Kinko's
Okay.
copies and I bought $30 and they were cut crooked. They were awful. And then went out and knocked on doors. Now I'm down to $70 and my time and my back's against the wall. I knocked on doors. I'm going to be in the neighborhood. I'm going to be in the neighborhood just down the street. We're going to be in the neighborhood painting this summer. Can I give you an estimate this weekend? Right. So I'd knock all week to estimate all weekend. Came back, had a weekend full of estimates. Right.
Okay.
3 days later. Oh, I need to have proposals. So I had to go over to Office Depot, $40 for contracts. Now I'm down to 20, whatever it was. Went out that weekend, closed 3 contracts for $10,000 roughly, and I got 50% deposit. So now I had $5,020 in the bank.
Okay.
That like if you're going to start something, there's that short term, right? Like how do I have money tomorrow? And then at the end of the month. But then at the end of the month of working, so right when I got fired was March. April, we started painting. So it was really mid-March to end of April. I get to the end of April and we had made 3-4 times that money that we needed. And I go, okay, because I thought I'd just do it for a little bit till I found out what I was really supposed to do.
Mm.
And I go, we're going to keep doing this. And we just went 1 month at a time, 2 months at a time. And then we got to the end of the year. We did top line $500,000,
Wow.
bottom line about 30% net, net, net.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm sitting here making, in 9 months more than I did all 4 years of college. I still had a money spending problem. Talk about that. Park that, we'll come back. And at that point, Mac, was when I said, okay, hold on. It's not a dirty little painter thing. Like Chad at the bank said, you can make a good living out of this.
Absolutely.
And I said, let's get to $1 million. So my thing was, I'm going to be $1 million Matt. That's going to be the story. So we just went shy the next year. 06, we were about 800K top line. Third year, we were 1.2. So from $100, we built $1 million company in 3 years. And then 2 years later, or 5 years in, we were 2 million plus. So multi-million.
Superb, superb. Well done, you. Fantastic.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you.
And it was all about I will not be stopped. And you had the mindset of I'm gonna take action. I'm gonna do whatever it takes. I've got to feed my family. How does one develop that mindset? If someone's listening in now and things are not going right in the business, they know they need to make a shift or a change or a pivot, and it's not working. How do you overcome that present situation to then move forward?
Couple things: change your state and change your belief system, and it's easier and it's that quick of a change, whether you believe it or not. So I would say, because I see people that have it. I see a guy who just got laid off. He told me, he goes, I got 6 months and then I got no house. So what are you going to do about it? Well, I'm kind of doing it. I don't know if he has it. He might have it when he's a month out, but maybe 6 months is too long for him. So some people just have that or they don't. But I think everybody at a human degree, you take away their basic hierarchy of needs at the bottom of Maslow's hierarchy, right? You need food, shelter. You're going to figure that out. And then, some people do, some people don't. Victim and victor mentality are two different things. Because of how I grew up in that moment, I still thought I was a little bit of a victim, but I had a lot to prove, right? So I just said, I'm going to make it happen. And there's people that are chasing excellence, chasing success, or they're running away from failure. Those are two totally different things. But for me, I just said, I have to when a should becomes a must, right? And this is a lot of neuro-linguistic programming. Tony Robbins says this all the time. If you want to take the island, burn the boats. My boats were burned. And they were coming for the condo, coming for the Honda Accord that I purchased in college, right? Like it was. So, but if you don't have that, I want somebody to write this down, is think about the story you're telling yourself. So you just got kicked between the legs, knocked down, thrown down. You're listening to these voices. Where are these voices coming from? Are they yours or are they outside voices? Because somebody's either telling you you can or you can't.
Yeah.
Many times we're our worst voice. So if your internal voice is saying you can't do this, go find a job. You're not going to win. You're going to fail. You're going to lose. That's part of your story and your programming. And you concluded that you're never going to win at anything based on a time you lost at something and made a conclusion that when stuff gets hard and I lose, I don't get back up. I just play the victim. And if that's working for you, great. I don't see that that works for anybody for too long. So if your mindset, if your program, if the story you're telling yourself isn't serving you, but it's sabotaging you, change it. And the way you change it is you have to go back to it and find something that will override your negative thinking about that story. What's it going to look like if Matt and Emily get kicked out of the condo and they take the Honda Accord? What is that going to look like?
Right.
And that created a pain in my life that I didn't want. So there's a certain degree that we're all trying to avoid pain. And I was running away from a potential pain for a long time. And it's motivating. Well, that's not the best inspiration to have.
Yeah. So what I'm hearing you say is that you said change your state. For those who haven't studied Anthony Robbins, you know, I know that's physiology, but tell everyone what change your state means. You said change your story.
Yeah.
Change your state, change your story. Go ahead. The state part.
Yeah. So your stand is what you believe in. It's what you believe about the world, about yourself. It's your view of the world. Your environment's going to change. It's going to be shaky, right? It's like you're a boat in the water and now the water's getting rough. And your state is how you are emotionally reacting to the situation at hand, whether that's positive, whether that's empowering, whether that's good, whether that's negative, disempowering, or bad. So your state, when I find people that are victims and not victors, they're failures, not winners, they're losers, not winners, is, oh man, I got laid off today, and their shoulders slump. I got laid off. Chad threw me out of the bank. What am I going to do? I'm going to go home and watch Netflix. Right. That's not going to make you 2,828 days. So when I see that, I go, hey, put your shoulders back. Why are you watching Netflix right now? What do you want? Well, I need 2,828 days. Okay, okay, who needs that? My wife, my kid's wife, so they can eat. Okay, so what is watching Netflix going to do? And you have to find that thing that snaps that person out of that stinking thinking. And you can change your state. And you go in and out of state. So your state changes all the time, right? You need to know what you stand on. Your state's going to change. Your environment's going to change. And just being conscious of it, first of all, is the first step. Is language matters, right? I'm pursuing wealth. Like your podcast isn't the avoid poverty and failure podcast. It's like pursue wealth, pursue the positive. Those are two different things.
Exactly. Fantastic. So
does that help? Because I'm throwing the word state around like everybody's heard it, and somebody's what's he talking about?
Yeah, I've studied Anthony Robbins for years, and I've shared a stage with him, so I know what you mean by state. But not everybody understands changing all that physiology, changing that, because it makes a difference. The way you stand, the way you position, the way you posture actually affects the neurons in your body and your brain. Yes. It affects the actions you take and the decisions you make or decisions you don't make. And it creates a positive outcome or an outcome you don't want. So I hear that. So apart from the painting business that you have, what other businesses are you involved with? What are you doing presently that we should know about? What's going on? I know you've written a book. Tell us about that as well.
Yeah. I've got a couple of books. So to answer the first question, so painting has now turned into roofing, gutters. We're effectively a home contracting business.
Nice.
And that's what the painting turned into. Second business, if we go chronologically, is we actually created a drywall texture repair tool that we sell on Amazon. It's called the Pirate Patch drywall repair tool. It is a patented product that we invented, patented, and we sell it very, very niched on Amazon. And then during that time, as the business started picking up, people started asking me to speak, and then I decided to write a book. So 2011 released Become an Award-Winning Company. It is effectively 7 simple steps to win business awards, and then how to leverage those to get free PR and marketing exposure. And then Painted Baby was just released in January. So there's 12 years between book 1 and book 2. And Painted Baby is how you connect with clients and how you connect with people through brave and vulnerable storytelling, by not being perfect, by sharing your worst moments and forgetting the idea, which is a false concept, that you need to paint a picture of perfection, because that actually, when you do that, it prevents true connection. Nobody's perfect, but
Absolutely.
we're constantly conditioned to put our best foot, A+, shiny marketing brochure forward and into the conversations we have. And we miss a place to truly connect with people. And that's all business is at the end of the day. So I'm really working right now, along with, the paint contracting, the pirate patch. We have a Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu academy that's
Okay.
now being run by my business partner. I helped launch it, and then he's now taking it over to run it. That's been a huge part of my life for my entire life. And then I do some real estate fixing, flipping, help people buy and sell. But the big focus right now, my next 10-year buckets, right? So like my next 20 is writing books, speaking, and taking business leaders on leadership adventures and experiences to Spain.
Absolutely. Tell us about that adventure then, because you are a guy that it's like you're exploring, you're living fully, and you love coffee, you love martial arts, jujitsu, you love all things Spain. What is it? What's going on with that? Tell us, how does someone live that kind of life? Because it brings you to life. Clearly, when you talk about it, it's like you're
It does.
smiling.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
And it's funny because somebody asked me, well, how do you sell these experiences? I don't sell anything. I get up every day and I tell people how excited I am. Literally, like, this is what I get to do every day. And I'll tell you where it causes some friction with my wife. I don't work every day. My wife's like, you're going to work every day. But I get up, I drink coffee and hang out with amazing people. We have a free Spanish coffee bar right downstairs. So people walk in here and we get to show them love and share coffee with them. And I get to share my passion for Spain with people here in the United States. And while doing that, I basically,
in your own building? Is that your building down there?
In our own building. Yep.
Your building.
Yeah, we've got about a 5,000 square foot building, or what would that be? 50 square meters. What is that? 5,000 square feet, 500 meters squared building, 2 stories. And we've got a free coffee bar. So people come in and literally my story meets your story. And we come together and I make your story better based on the lessons that I've learned. And I love that I get to share my passion for Spain, my passion for people, my passion for leadership. And then one thing that I found as it's important in my story that I've discovered is I will do anything once and I'll try these crazy ideas that can't be done. And I love these once in a lifetime experiences. So I've literally packaged all of that into 2 different retreats I do to Spain under my Gentle Art of Leadership coaching program that I developed. So September, we're doing the Gentle Art of Leadership hike of a lifetime on the Camino de Santiago. So the St. James Way pilgrimage. Just taking a group of guys that are busy, burned out, stressed, and they need to unplug, disconnect, and recenter. We're going to hike 70 miles out in the middle of nowhere in Spain.
Nice.
And they're going to learn how to do that. May of 2024, that's the ultimate immersion experience. So think of an adventure, race, competition, challenge. We're all over different parts of Spain. Fun, sun, food, culture. It's a trip, right? But you're having these once in a lifetime experiences that only I can curate because they're with people that I have decades long relationships with. Couple things, participants have to sign an NDA. Like, that's how private and intimate some of the stuff they're going to see and experience historically, culturally, that we're going to be a part of. But it's designed, right, to push you out of your comfort zone and elicit the things that you need to develop in your life and your leadership and your family and your business. And we get to do it together, right? Because life's a journey, business is a journey, and it's like, why do it alone? Do it together. Do it with somebody.
Breakthroughs? Absolutely. I mean, doing that in that community and with a tribe makes it much easier. What kind of breakthroughs do you see in people after so many days on this adventure with you?
What's interesting, and again, being in the space that you're in, right? Tony creates a very intentional space with the temperature, the energy. I mean, the way he does everything to where he can manage and control, but then take you to a place where you're challenged. So my view on that is I'm taking you out of a country to it's an environment you've never been to before, a language you don't speak. And I'm asking you to do things that you normally might not do here and might not even do there, whether you knew the language or not. And I'm observing, and there's different points. Some are uncomfortable right off the bat. Some are uncomfortable even getting on the plane. Some of them land and they go, oh my gosh, I had this breakthrough that when I get on a plane, I feel claustrophobic. And it brought me back to to here, and this is where I shut down. Maybe that. We did a challenge where people were forced to engage and communicate, but they couldn't speak the language. And one person, when they couldn't do that, they got really excited and they started using their hands. And they realized when they were stressed in that scenario, here's where they went. Another person just shut down. And we had one person scared of heights. And we did an experience where they were forced to raise their level above the ground with not too high. So, and I didn't know what was going to elicit these things. But the point is they see it, and then you go, okay, why is this a thing for you? Well, this is why. And then you get to explore their story. And some of them were able to like change that right away. The coolest thing, let me share the example, is without giving away the experience, is there is a structure somewhere in Spain that you can walk up. And as you walk up it, you know you're walking up it and you're getting higher above the ground. And at any point you can turn around and go back.
Okay.
Or you can also keep going. And for me, for you, it's not that high, right? If you don't have a fear of heights, it's not that high. So we all made it to the top. Matt, Mac, the team, the crew that's in Spain, we made it to the top. And we're looking at, it's not that bad. My guy, Jim, who came, he only made it 2/3 of the way up. And then he stopped and he turned around. But those 2/3 of the way up was the highest he had ever been. So for me as the facilitator, instead of saying, why didn't you make it up with the team? Why didn't you push through? Like, this is how some coaches are. What do you mean you can push through? No, he made it 2/3 of the way higher than he's ever been before. And we're proud of him and we're celebrating him. So it's all about how you look at that experience. And for him, that was that experience. For somebody else, it was having a pigeon land by them and poop on them in a plaza.
Oh, wow.
Right? So little things, big things. And what was interesting being the facilitator is certain things that I thought I was curating and generating. I go, I know this is going to get everybody to think about vision. It actually didn't. It was something else. It was the things that didn't go well, that didn't go as planned, that were some of the most memorable. So even for me as the facilitator, it was cool to see how the experience and the people within it lead to the outcomes, the outcomes you want, but not in the way you think you would get them.
Right. And it, often it takes processes like yours for people to realize how big they really are, to really get self-awareness, to get that experience, that point of mastery of self, to say, actually, where else in my life or my business can I do this where I've been limiting myself? So I love all that, Matt. Thank you for that. I want to say in a moment, how do people get hold of you? They want to learn more, they want to connect with you. What's the best way for them to do that, Matt?
So the best way to start is my website. It's Matt Shoup. So it's SHOUP, like Paul.com. And two things when you get there. When you get there, there's a button that says free tools. It's an orange button all over the website. You can download a couple chapters of both of my books, free leadership language survey. It's basically a toolkit, totally free, where you can just start that journey with me of finding things and ways to make your life and your business and your leadership better. So that's totally free. And then from there, you can buy my books and talk about further things. But the other thing that I'd encourage you to do, scroll down on the website to the bottom, right before the blog. There's a feed to my Instagram reels. Every morning during the weekday, I do something called Morning Coffee with Matt. So it's a 60-second reel. It has to be less than 60, right? And it's just an inspirational tidbit, piece of wisdom. Sometimes there's a week theme. Sometimes I bounce around. And you can just watch those every morning. So follow me on the social and those will pop up on your feed. You just get a little 60 seconds of Matt every morning to keep you going.
Absolutely. You've been listening to Matt Shoup and Mac Attram here, your host. And thank you for tuning in to the Business Success and Wealth Show. And I want to say, Matt, thank you for your energy. Thank you for all the nuggets. Thank you for the stories, my friend. Thank you for the stories. Amazing stories. I love that. And it's all inspiring as well. Hey, subscribe to the channel or follow, depending on where you are. Like, share, comment as well. What did you get out of this? Put some comments in as well and share with someone who really needs to hear these words that Matt Shoup was sharing today. Remember to also follow Matt in his Instagram and go to his website as well. We'll put this in a show link. So Matt, thank you for gracing us with your energy and your stories and the inspiration you're given. Thank you. All right, guys.
Thanks.
Until we speak again, take care, guys. Thank you very much for tuning in.